And good evening, everyone, and welcome into the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. I'm Russ Renault, and we are live watching the main event from UFC 303. Alex Pereira defending his light heavyweight championship against the former champion, the number one contender, Yuri Prochazka. So Bruce Buffer is just finishing up the introductions right now. Obviously, we cannot show you, we cannot let you listen in to any of this action due to restrictions by the UFC, but I will be giving commentary on the main event. So be giving you the complete play-by-play, so I appreciate you stopping by here. We'll have a complete wrap-up of the card immediately following this fight, and we are just about to get ready to go. Herb Dean in the middle of the octagon with both fighters. So like I said, it's been an interesting night so far, and we will talk about all of it and all of the action coming up here in the near future, the schedule for the UFC coming up. And we are just about underway here for the first round of this light heavyweight title fight. So if you have any comments, any questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat. I'll try to watch those as I'm watching the fight. And we are just about to get ready to go. And we are underway. So Alex Pereira, the champion, is in the multicolored tribal trunks. And that's a boxing term. Yuri Prochazka in red. Both fighters for the second pay-per-view in a row in a championship fight. Both wearing the gold gloves now for these championship bouts. We saw that with Makhachev and Poirier last time. So not much going on. Both fighters in the middle of the octagon right now. 30 seconds in. Quick exchange there. Leg kicks, and Pereira stuffs Prochazka with the left hand. A leg kick from Pereira to the right leg of the left leg of Prochazka. Prochazka trades. Prochazka moving forward. The front leg kick by Pereira. Just tapping gloves right now. Prochazka switches stances. A good left hand by Pereira. Remember last time these two met, Prochazka did some damage in the first round, and a lot of people said he won that first round. And likely did. Of course, it didn't matter because Pereira in the second round was able to knock Prochazka out. Many thought it was an early stoppage. Prochazka moves forward. Pereira counters with a nice right hand. And a leg kick to that left leg. The lead leg of Prochazka. They circle each other in the center of the octagon. Another left jab by Pereira. Might have been a little low blow there by Pereira on Prochazka. A leg kick to the body. About halfway through the first round now. Exactly 2.5 minutes left. Prochazka ducks in with that feint. Not a lot of trading here early on. Prochazka keeping an eye on that left hand of Pereira. Puts that right hand up to block that left hand. Prochazka with the left hand. Now they're trading back and forth a little bit more. Prochazka in the clinch. Trying to back Pereira up against the fence. And he is on it now. Finally got him there. Pereira with the knee up the middle. Prochazka trying to work a takedown here. Still got Pereira pinned up against the fence with 1:20 left. A quick jab by Pereira, trying to fight this off. Prochazka trying to sweep the leg. A couple of shots in by Pereira just to try to get Prochazka off of him. Under a minute to go now. Still in the clinch. And a knee by Prochazka. That went to the body. And Pereira's out of it. Now we're back to the center with 40 seconds left. Leg kick there by Pereira. Significant strikes, 19 of 24 for Pereira and 7 of 20 for Prochazka. Another left hand by Pereira. A high leg kick by Prochazka. Pereira able to block it with the right hand. 10 seconds left now. And a left hand lands right at the horn for Alex Pereira. Knocked down Neri Prochazka right there at the end of the round. Wow, I just thought those two were just going to let that one end. And Pereira caught him. So I think that Pereira won that round anyway. But man, that was something right there at the end, like that, and with a visual like that to put him down. And it was right with 1 second left. Gets him right under the chin with the left hand, right with 1 second left in the first round. Just caught Prochazka coming in with that left. And luckily for Yuri, that was right at the end of the round. So we'll see how he comes out here in the second. I think Yuri may have thought that was after the horn. I'm not sure. I can't hear it because I can't let you guys hear it, so I can't hear it either. So it'd be interesting to see. But I thought he got that shot in right at and a leg kick, and that knocked Prochazka down, and Pereira is on top of him on his back, and the fight's over. Herb Dean puts a stop to it right at the beginning of the second round, so we knew how Yuri had come out with a little wobbled at the end of the first, and we are done. That quickly into the second. Yuri's still having trouble. He's trying to stand up. Herb Dean's holding him up. The doctor telling Yuri the fight's over. Keeps telling him over and over again the fight's over. So let's stay right here. Obviously, we're going to talk about this for a little bit. But let's get all of the information. Let's see the replays here. Quick stop in the second round. No doubt about this one. I mean, just this leg kick lands. They haven't shown it again yet, but Pereira comes right out with a leg kick that takes Yuri down right at the beginning of the second round. This left leg kick right to the top of the head of Prochazka. They're showing it now. Jumps on top of him and just finishes it off with the punches, but just starts off with that leg kick. And I know if Yuri just hadn't gathered himself enough after that shot that he took after the end of the first and just wasn't able to block that kick, just late to it, takes him out. So just watching the replay here. That left head kick to Prochazka ends it quickly in the second round. So it had this big build up all night long to this moment, and to just have a quick finish like that. Sorry that you have to watch me instead of having to watch the fight itself. I'm sorry if you couldn't watch it, but at least we're going to bring you these live main events. We're going to cover the main event live for you and give you this commentary. So Alex Pereira celebrating with his family now in the octagon. Yuri in his corner. I think Alex Pereira may have broken his foot when he kicked Yuri in the head. He keeps favoring that foot. He keeps rubbing on it, and I can see in the captions that Cormier and Rogan and Anik are talking about it. But here's the official decision. So we obviously know where this is going. But I just want to finish it off just so we get in as much as we can before we get to the rest of the show. I know this is probably what you came here for, but we are going to talk about the rest of the card now that this main event is over, and that was one of the quickest bouts of the night. So Alex Pereira retains the light heavyweight championship. So that's going to do it. That's not the end of our show. We're just getting started. So let's close that out. Let's get to a place where we can look at the stats for some of the other fights. So once again, thanks again for joining us here for that live main event coverage that did not take very long. Last time we went all 5 rounds, and this time we went a round plus. I mean, it took 10 seconds into the second round for Alex Pereira to do away with Yuri Prochazka. I don't really know where the light heavyweight division goes from here, because Ankalaev is next. It has to be. I guess that, so I do know where it's going. So that is the next fight will be Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. That's really all that's left for Alex Pereira to prove. So if he wants to move up to heavyweight after that fight, take on a Tom Aspinall, who, that could be for an undisputed title. If, the way I think things are going to go, I think John Jones and Stipe will fight at some point this year, but I don't think either one of them fight again after that fight. I think John Jones wins that fight and kind of strings Tom Aspinall along, and UFC just kind of gets tired of it at some point and declares, Tom the undisputed champion. So I think that Alex Pereira may be, his first title defense as undisputed champion. But Tom's got a big fight against Curtis Blades coming up. Probably going to face Cyril Gane. I don't see Tom Aspinall waiting around for John Jones and Stipe. I mean, it'd be huge. It's what everybody wants to see. I'm not going to hold my breath for it, just like I didn't for McGregor and Chandler. I never got my hopes up for that fight, that it was actually going to happen. And so we end up with this one tonight. It's kind of disappointing that it wasn't a better fight. But, Alex Pereira, his star is just on the rise. And, we'll see what happens next. Obviously, we think we know what's going to happen next, as he should be taking on Ankalaev down the road here. Didn't, take too much damage in this fight, so should be able to turn around pretty quick, as he likes to do. So hats off to Alex Pereira. We kind of called that one because we are undefeated or the opposite of whatever that is. Whoever I am going for in the main event never wins of a pay-per-view. I can win some co-mains. I can get you the rest of the card. But main event, whoever I'm going for, just pick the opposite way. And I tell you that every week, pick the opposite way. And it has worked out every single time. I told you Pereira, I told you Makhachev. And We've been good. We've been on a roll going with that. So we'll look at the main events coming up. That's only on the pay-per-views. I can do pretty well on some of the fight nights, but that just happens on pay-per-views that I just have terrible luck. So we showed you some of the rookie cards that we have left from 2023 because the Lex Pereira, we do have a couple of those left. We have a Silver Prism and then just regular base, but just wanted to show off that rookie class. Some of the bigger fighters from that with the Lex fighting tonight. Obviously, we've got a couple of Bo Nichols left. Raul Rosas Jr. is in that class. Aaron Blanchfield, Jack Della Maddalena, Tabitha Ricci. So 2023, that was a good year for the rookie cards, obviously, with Pereira being the biggest one in that class. So now let's take a look ahead at what's coming up next for the UFC. And so here we go with our recap of the fight night next weekend, in 2 weeks. So obviously we had a change this week as Macy Barber dropped out of the main event for UFC Fight Night July 13th in Denver. But you know what? It's totally got ahead of myself. I am sorry. Let's go back. Because I have not talked about the rest of the fights yet. So sorry about that. Got into talking about that main event and I just lost track of the rest of the card. So we'll save that for just a minute. So let's look at what happened on the rest of this card. So really weird stuff happened at the top of this card with Diego Lopez. Brian Ortega dropped out earlier today. And so they scrambled to find an opponent. Dan Ige lives in Las Vegas and trains there. And he's ranked number 13th in the lightweight division, and he got a call and said, hey, can you fight tonight? And he said, absolutely. Just gamer, just stepped in there on 4 hours notice and took this fight. They got everything signed and sealed and delivered. And Dan Ige was able to step in there and almost won this fight. So Diego Lopez looked great in the first round. I think he almost had Ige out in the first round. Look good in the second as well. Won those 2 rounds, and fortunately for him, he did, because about halfway through the third round, Diego Lopez gassed out, and Dan Ige started teeing off on him. So Lopez, feeling that, kind of grabbed onto Ige, it took him down and held on for dear life and was able to come out with that decision. So, hats off to Dan Ige for saving that co-main event. Really would have liked to see Brian Ortega there just because he's so highly ranked, and just to see Diego Lopez fight somebody that much higher ranked than him, other than, the guy right in front of him, Dan Ige. But what a great fight for those two. And, hats off to them for kind of saving that, because this card was held together by some, not even duct tape, like masking tape. So it was, where we started and where we ended up, it was okay. It was okay. I wouldn't say it was anything great, because we lost some big fights on here. And just the ones that they were replaced with. Pereira and Prochazka, name-wise, it's big, and there was a title on the line, whereas if you had McGregor and Chandler, there was not. So that was, at the top, it was bigger, to me anyway. But seeing Diego Lopez, I was really excited to see him fight somebody higher ranked than him, so that replacement didn't do anything for me. Then the Anthony Smith, Roman Dolidze, we'll talk about that one in a second. That one didn't do as much for me either. But the Ian Machado Gary, Michael Page did. So let's get to talking about those. Roman Dolidze, the number 10 ranked middleweight, jumps up to fight the number 10 ranked light heavyweight, comes away with a unanimous decision. Dolidze looked pretty solid. Not the greatest fight. Cormier and Rogan kind of alluded that these guys trained together, and so, may not have been the headhunting that you would like to find in a UFC fight. But Dolidze, he went after it in the second round, tried to get that finish, but couldn't get it done. Comes away with unanimous decision. And I think, Anthony Smith's got to do some soul searching at this point. 58 fights. He's had a great career. Just came up that short against John Jones. That was a long time ago. And he's got a lot of other things going on right now. Big family. So I think this is probably time. I don't want to see Anthony Smith carry this out. I don't think I want to see him fight again, to be honest. So I just kind of, you see people so long, and we'll talk about somebody down the card, that it's just their time. And I think that it's that time for Anthony Smith to just move on, move into the booth, and just roll with that. He's doing a great job there. So, unfortunate for him tonight, but Roman Dolidze got the job done. So, really interesting women's bantamweight division. Interesting fight here between number 3 Mayra Bueno Silva, Macy Chiasson. So Bueno Silva won that first round, I believe, and was doing okay. But then Macy Chiasson took her down in the second and hit her with a nasty left elbow that opened up a huge gash over Mayra Bueno Silva's right eye, and it was nasty. It looked like a mouth above her eye, and there's just too much blood. And so the doctor called a stoppage to it, said there's just too much and it's going to go into her eye. It was down to the bone. It was nasty gash. Ended that fight. Bueno Silva wanted to keep going, pleaded her case to Dana White, but it was just too nasty. It was just going to get worse and worse. And so huge upset for Macy Chiasson. Getting that win over number 3 ranked contender in the women's bantamweight division, former title challenger, who lost to Raquel Pennington. So Chiasson's put herself right there. Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena can get something ironed out here soon, then maybe Macy Chiasson gets the winner of that fight. So then we started off the card with a pretty exciting fight. Ian Machado Gary, ranked number 7, against number 14 Michael Venom Page in the welterweight division, and Ian Machado Gary comes out with a unanimous decision, but Michael Page, I think he took that second round. Gary, took the third, maybe. So it was really close. I think Gary won the first round for sure. Second, probably Page. Third, it really could have gone either way. It was that close of a fight. It was a good fight. So great job starting off the card with that one. That one could have been further up the card. That one could have been that third fight where Dolidze and Smith was, but they moved it down to the beginning, and that was a good call. So let's just look at the rest of the card before we get to the schedule moving forward. So we had Joe Pyfer, Marc-Andre Barriault. First round, Joe Pyfer looked awesome. Gets a knockout in the first round. He just looked great and got the job done. The middleweight division comes back from that loss, and so we know the power there, and he showed it tonight, and it looked great. Andre Fili defeated Cub Swanson's split decision. John Silva defeated Charles Jourdain in featherweight matchup with a knockout in the second round. Just flattened him, took him out with an uppercut. That was a nice finish. If you want to go back and look at that one. Peyton Talbot getting a knockout against Giannis Gamori in a bantamweight matchup, TKO first round. Just want to mention this one, women's strawweight division, Jillian Robertson with just a dominating performance over number 14, Michelle Waterson Gomez. So unanimous decision, even a 30-26 on one of those cards. So after this fight, Michelle Waterson Gomez, the karate hottie, she retired after that fight. So it was just time. She had just not getting the job done lately in several of her last fights. So what a great career and fun to watch. And so wish her the best going forward. But Michelle Waterson Gomez retiring after her loss tonight. Just to finish out the card, Martin Buday defeated Andrei Arlovsky in the heavyweight division via split decision. Ray Tesura defeated Carlos Hernandez in a featherweight matchup, unanimous decision, and Vinicius Oliveira defeated Ricky Simone in the bantamweight division via unanimous decision to start off the prelims. So now we can get to the rest of the schedule. All right, so let's get the schedule back up here. Every time I come back, when I switch out, it cuts my mic off. So sorry about that. So we're talking about UFC Fight Night here in Denver on July 13th, and we'll be off next weekend with the UFC being off. So Rose Namajunas ranked number 6 in the flyweight division against number 11 Tracy Cortez, and Macy Barber had to drop out of this fight. I was reading the reasons for that this week, and Macy she had been in the hospital for 9 days a couple of months ago, and just a combination of the antibiotics and IVs did not agree with her body, and she was not ready for this fight. So she pulled out, and Tracy Cortez had a fight scheduled the next weekend with Miranda Maverick. We'll talk about that one here when I switch the cards over. So Tracy Cortez and Miranda Maverick were scheduled for July 20th, but now it's going to be Rose Namajunas, Tracy Cortez. So I think a more interesting fight for Cortez, obviously, not for Rose. I did think Macy Barber was going to take care of business in that, but now we've got probably a more competitive fight. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think it's more competitive, and we'll see. Should be a pretty interesting one. Got that welterweight co-main event, Mike Malott and Gilbert Urbina. And I'm not going to go through all of them because we've gone through all of them a few times before already. But just look further down the card, kind of pointing out the fighters who are ranked women's flyweight division as well. Number 10, Vivian Araujo against number 15, Jasmine Jasudavicius. So then we go to Fight Night, July 20th from the Apex. And number 3, Amanda Lemos against number 5, Verna Jandiroba, women's strawweight division. That's a sensational women's strawweight fight. That could, whoever comes out on top in that Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko rematch, the third in that trilogy, you could be looking at the winner of this fight taking them on after Manon Fiorot. But so the winner sets them up very well for 2025. few more fights on this card. Brad Tavares, Jun Young Park, Steve Garcia, Sung Woo Choi, Doohoo Choi, and Bill Alged. Cody Durden, ranked number 15 in the flyweight division, against Bruno Silva. And here's the one, Miranda Maverick. Her new opponent is now Dion Barbosa. So that replaces Tracy Cortez for this women's flyweight matchup. So moving on to UFC 304, July 27th, and we will be right back here then for another live main event coverage, and we are going to do both championship fights. So we'll be on for both fights. We will start our coverage with Tom Aspinall against number 4 Curtis Blades for the heavyweight title, and then obviously the welterweight title, Leon Edwards against Bilal Muhammad. This is just a fantastic card. Can't wait for this event in Manchester. Obviously a huge Tom Aspinall fan. So if things held, then you would see, because I don't know which way I'm leaning in the welterweight matchup. We'll talk about it later. I don't really have any feeling toward Leon and Bilal Muhammad, but with Aspinall being in the co-main event, that helps out a lot because we can pick Tom Aspinall in that one and feel good about it. Bobby Green, Paddy Pimblett, that should be awesome. Those two, the trash talking. Arnold Allen, Giga Chikadze, featherweight matchup, number 6 against number 9. And then flyweight matchup, number 6 against number 8, Muhammad Makayev against Manel Kopp. Now you see the full loaded prelims there. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so 14 fights on that card from Manchester. So then we go to Fight Night on August 3rd from Abu Dhabi. Bantamweight matchup between number 2 Corey Sandhagen, number 10 Umar Nurmagomedov, then Vicente Luque, Nick Diaz, Chito Vera, Davison Figueiredo, Mackenzie Dern, Lupe Godinez, and Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa. We'll update all of these as soon as we get word of what those fights will look like. UFC 305, August 17th from Perth in Australia, middleweight championship matchup. Champion Dracus du Plessis against number 2 Israel Adesanya. Charles, these are question marks. These are not official, but just kind of, we know that Volkanovski, Madalena, and Urseg were on the board. In that leaked Dana White War Room video. It wasn't leaked. He was actually talking and announcing fights, and you got a glimpse of the board behind him. So some possible opponents: Oliveira against Volkanovski, Shavkat Rakhmonov against Jack Della Maddalena, or Kai Kara France against Steve Urseg. Who knows? That seems very plausible that those could be the matchups. Then moving on to the stuff we don't really know much about yet. UFC 306, September 14th from the Sphere in Las Vegas. And that place just looks awesome if you saw it on TV tonight. Don't know anything about this card yet, but we can kind of make some guesses based on how tonight went. So probably see Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. You'll see Diego Lopez maybe facing Brian Ortega on that card. And then you see Dan Ige against somebody. Just stepping up the way he did. He wants to be on that card, so why not? So I don't know who else could really be on that one at this time. Yeah, I mean, Grasso Shevchenko makes the most sense right now. I haven't seen Zhang Wei Li in forever, though. That title hasn't been on the line since she fought Yan Xiaonan a few months ago. So I don't know if you want to put 2 women's title fights on that card, but you know, you could definitely see that happening. So there we go. Some speculation on what's going to happen at the Sphere. And we go to Fight Night, September 28th from Paris. Don't know anything about this one yet. And then the only other one that's on the schedule right now that we know of, UFC 308, October 26th. That will be from Abu Dhabi. So usually you see Islam Makhachev in this spot. You know, he had that win over Poirier. Seems like good timing for him. So we'll see what happens come UFC 308 in October. If anything else gets added, we will certainly let you know. So that is all we have here. We showed you that rookie class from last year with Alex Pereira leading the way. So, like I said, next week we'll be off. And so I hope everybody enjoys the 4th of July. I hope you have a nice long weekend. And then we'll be back here on July 13th for that fight night from Denver. And we'll do that after the fights. We'll go back to doing that just after the fights like we usually do. We do like to come in here for the main events of the pay-per-views and definitely provide that coverage for you. If you're unable to watch it live, we're your place for that. So if you like the show, obviously hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the show. We have card giveaways for our subscribers. We'll be doing that as soon as we get to a point where we want to hold those giveaways. We've got several lots set aside for that purpose, and we'd love to give those away someday. Even cards like the ones we have in front of us. Maybe we give some of those away one day. So we'd love to get those in your hands, and you can check out our store on eBay. It's called eBay Lots of Lots. So you can go there and check it out. But once again, thanks for joining us here late again after another UFC pay-per-view. I'm Russ Renault, and this is the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. You can always check us out here on YouTube, and then we're available on all of the audio podcast platforms immediately following the show. I upload it, and they're available by the next day. So thanks a lot, everybody, and we will see you next time, on July 13th from Denver for the next UFC event. You've been watching the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. We'll see you later.